Good afternoon, Flosstube. It is Monday, April 23rd. Beautiful weather here in Texas. I have a super short update, but there is a finish that I have to share because you have patiently watched me with this little baby sampler. I want to share that today, and then maybe we'll soon have a fully finished object, and then I want to share my progress on my 2 new Riolis kits, and then ask a question to anyone in the Flosstube community who can send me a comment and answer. So very short update today, but excited to be here. I hope your stitching has gone well and that life is moving along as you hope it will. And I'll be back soon, I hope, with more progress on other WIPs. So my finish is my baby elephants. And I'm so excited to show you this. Below my fingers here are the letters making up the child's name, which I didn't really want to put on Flosstube, but that precious grandson, so his name is at the bottom. But as I have mentioned to you before, Home and Heart cross stitch, such whimsical designs. Her use of color and pattern and fun has made this a delight to stitch. I'm trying to decide which elephant is my favorite, and that's difficult. But I love the way these are laid out. Right now, looking at it, I think I'm going to have to pick this yellow one because of the heart on his leg. So cute. Maybe this blue one would be my second favorite. But all of these will have a home in the Sweet Boys Nursery. And I thank you all for your encouragement and enthusiasm with me on this. If you remember, it's on a white even weave 28 count. Michael's is where I got this fabric, but it has been fun to work on, and for this piece, I think more than adequate. I definitely wanted the contrast of the white with the pale pastel floss. All DMC. Jane Schofield is the designer. Home and Heart Cross Stitch is the book. Some of you have purchased that book, and I'm hoping you'll share what you have selected to stitch on that for all of us to see. I'm going to have to pick another one because it's fun to have one on the go. My small, new Take to Work to Stitch at Lunch project is this Riolis kit, which I showed you before. But I wanted to be sure you knew the way these are packaged, since I had shown you how the bigger pack was organized. In these smaller ones, you have your fabric, you have a needle, and instead of floss cards like the ones in the bigger packs, let me find one to show. Instead of this type of floss card that the bigger kits have, and of course this is a partially filled one, this small pattern kit has little hanks of the wool acrylic. And this is exactly how it comes. So since there are only 4 or 5 colors in this one, it's not a problem. Once you've unknotted it, you just pull what you need and snip it. It's super easy to work with, in my opinion. So my progress on the little lilies of the valley, you have to use your imagination. But this is the top of that little flower motif here. This will be another one. And at this point, nothing is showing up in this lighting. It's lots of green, some white. The blue has not been introduced yet. Yes, that's a faint, faint blue there on the flowers. This is on the fabric that was included in the kit, which is an 18 count Aida. And I'm using my favorite little John James wooden hoop that I had told you about before. So you can see why this appeals to me for 30 minutes of stitching at lunch, at work. Lots of fun and so easy to transport. Then my Riolis apples, and you've seen this as well. This is that kit. This was the Hobby Lobby 75% off. And I think I told you it appealed to me for a fall piece. Also, I love baskets and apples. But I want you to see on the part that has been stitched, if it's possible to show you in this lighting, how the shading works in these kits. If you look at this leaf, it is complete. This is all you will see. Well, I've got the tip stuck up here. Nothing else has been completed, so you can see this is almost a complete apple here. This will be a large apple, another one here, and I believe there's going to be a smaller one here, then a whole basket, and 2 apples down here. But if you look at the colors, that's showing better. You will see how she or he, the designer, has used pinks, reds, maroons, yellows in those apples. And then so many colors of green with a little bit of tan, I guess. That's actually a gold up here. And these are blended threads, a lot of them, where you do one of one color and one of another. This is that Fiddler's Cloth Ada 14 count. Lots of fun to work on. And this has worked especially well in my Q-snap because the fabric is thick enough that it holds it taut. This has been really a delight to stitch because I think I told you this is not 14 count, this is 10. I remember telling you how surprised I was at how big this fabric is and how easy it is to see. And I thought I would have a quicker finish on this one, but there are more apples than I anticipated. So those floss cards are, as I showed you, there are 3 of those in this kit. And it is super easy. You just find the number and pull the thread. Each color has a single-digit number. And if you have to combine them, same thing. So I'm in love with Riolis right now. I will not say that I've had any progress on anything else because I have not. I finished those last elephants, stitched my grandson's name, jumped back in on my apples, and worked on the lunch stitch of the blue and white lilies of the valley. So that's it. Life has been busy, crazy, but such nice pieces for my time to relax and enjoy my stitching. Now, I had a fun highlight yesterday. Many of you are familiar with the Flosstuber, Mrs. Vinsel, the cross-stitch counselor. Ran into her at an event yesterday and got a big cross-stitch hug. So hi, if you happen to see this, Rachel. Such a delight to see her and her sweet family. Meeting and knowing Flosstubers is especially fun. And I had known her before, but we love getting to talk cross-stitch and bumping into each other, so that was fun. I had hoped I could think of a fun travel story to tell you, and this will be the one I'll close with. This isn't really funny, but I think for those of you who have been involved in air travel, you will appreciate this story. So my ticket to Scotland was booked way ahead on United Airlines because that was the best price. And the week of my departure, the East Coast got a blizzard, a nor'easter, and I was to connect in Newark from Texas, and no flights were going into or out of Newark. So I spent a whole morning on the phone with United, and they were saying, we can't do anything for you until 24 hours from the time the flight leaves. Call us back tomorrow. So I do that again, and at that point, they are willing to try to get me on another carrier to get me to my destination. So instead of flying United, I ended up going Lufthansa, never flown that German airline before, and instead of connecting in Newark, New Jersey, I was going to be going to Frankfurt, Germany, and from Frankfurt to Edinburgh. So we do this, we book, and I say, okay, what about my seat assignment? Because I admit to being very claustrophobic, and I absolutely have to sit on an aisle or I just go crazy. And on a long flight like that, oh my goodness. So, sorry, we can't book your seat ahead of time. You'll have to talk to the gentleman or attendant at the check-in desk. So we get to the airport the day of my flight. We are in the longest check-in line I have ever seen. Come to find out, 2 different tour groups from our area are headed to Frankfurt. One group to be in Germany, another to connect to the Holy Land. So we're in this very long line. Finally, I tell my husband, you go on. I'll text you once I get through security. There's no point in you standing here. Go. So he leaves. I get up to the window and I have a gentleman helping me. I'm checking the bag that I'm going to send on the plane, and I ask about my seat assignment. And I say, sir, I really need an aisle seat. Well, ma'am, I'm sorry, this flight is packed. We don't have any aisle seats. Well, friends, I almost cried. This old lady almost cried. I said, oh, sir, I can't ride a 10-hour, 12-hour flight not on the aisle. I just won't make it. Is there anywhere you can put me? I don't care as long as it's on the aisle. And he looks at his computer, and I'm really about to dissolve into tears right there and cancel the whole trip. I don't know why I have this problem, but the older I get, the worse it gets. So he looks up and he says, in a rather gruff voice, I have one aisle seat. I said, oh, please, let me have that seat. Well, people, if it had been appropriate, I would have hugged the gentleman behind the counter. But the funny part of the story is that I've never seen an aisle seat like the one he put me in. I was still very grateful for it. Please don't get me wrong, but too funny. So I get on the plane, and all my seatmates are it's the middle part of the big plane, and they're all seated. And I find my seat. You probably have seen this seat before. I have never. My seat is out in the aisle. I do not have a seat in front of me, which means I do not have a screen for movies or the map or anything. No little pouch thing to put your possessions in. Nowhere to put my bag under the seat in front of me. There is no seat in front of me. Fortunately, I only had a backpack, so I was able to stow it overhead. But the whole flight, I had to watch when they were coming down the aisle with those carts, because one time that cart was coming in my direction a little too fast, and I was exposed out in that aisle. Anyway, what an experience. Isn't air travel always that way? But on the positive side, I was not claustrophobic. Lufthansa is a very lovely airplane. We had good service, good food, and made it to Frankfurt and had plenty of time to connect to Edinburgh. No nor'easters, no blizzards in Frankfurt. But that was my first and only trip to Germany, and I only saw one terminal of the airport and then went downstairs to the basement to connect to Edinburgh. So, all the fun and woes of travel. You will appreciate this if you have had a similar experience. But I want to tell you to have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your comments. Now, my quick question. Explain to me what Stitch Mania is. M-A-Y-N-I-A. So many of you have been posting and talking about this, and I've missed something. I guess it's a Facebook group, and my understanding is that in May, you decide if you're going to have more new starts or work on old WIPs, or someone, if you have a moment, give me a comment and explain to me what I'm supposed to be doing for Stitch Mania. With all the projects I have, I don't think I'm going to be doing a certain number of new starts, but fill me in on that. I don't know how I missed the obvious, but anyway, that is my question for you for today. Thank you again and hope to be back soon. If you have not subscribed, please do. If you're an old, or shall I say returning viewer, thank you for coming back. And thank you for kind words and comments and suggestions. More very soon. Thank you again. Bye-bye.